Hello and welcome to the Dapper Gaffer channel. I'm Josiah and we're here at City Stage Studios in Rockford, Illinois, taking a look at the Aputure Storm 80c. This is Aputure's new low to moderate wattage point source full color fixture with the new BLAIR-CG tech incorporated. All right, let's get into this box here and see what it comes with. So that's kind of the pack out there. We've got the fixture, the cords, and these two modifiers inside here. So there's the head itself, solid, really solidly built unit. We've got our power cables, and then a typical sort of faceted barrel reflector. This one is a 35-degree angle, and this fun little omnidirectional diffuser. Let's just move this out of the way. Now, I'm not a real big fan of using these just because they're difficult. They're really difficult to control. If you just need to pop it on quick and have it lightweight and just kind of throw wherever it throws, you can use that. I much prefer working with a Fresnel or some sort of lens. So this is the Fresnel that comes with it, and these snap-on Barndoors. But I did find a way to fit this in the case. In case you're like me and you would more often use this than that, we can actually just take this little, take that little padded piece out of there. The Fresnel fits in this back compartment. We can still put that little diffuser in there, and then the Barndoors will fit in here along with the cables, and you can keep the light head in here. And I just would probably take that out, but that's just me. So let's build this thing and talk about it as we go along here. Not knock my coffee over here. Nice compact nature. Now the yoke on this thing actually comes off, which is a nice option as well. I'll show you how that's done. You just pull the bolt out on that side, and then you can flip that out toolless, which is great. So you can take that whole thing right off of the yoke, and then it's got these 3/8 threads on actually all four sides of the light here. So you can rig it up in different ways if you wanted to screw a baby pin in there or mount it to a cheese plate or for car rigging or whatever sort of scenario you might run into. It's a nice option to have. Makes it a little bit smaller, lighter, and you can just kind of rig it up how you want. So you could tell they're thinking a little bit more about the pro market with a fixture like this and with features like that. It's got this little V-mount on the side here, which is kind of dual purpose. You can mount your ballast on there or your AC DC power transformer, and then plug that into the light, which is nice for rigging if you're rigging it as a powered fixture. But you can also, if you're a V-mount person, I'm not, but if you got a V-mount battery, you can click that in there, and then you can get this little D-tap cable and actually power the light off of a V-mount mounted on the fixture itself, just like so. DC, does that run off of a, I think this says DC and 20 volts, 5 amps. Huh. Maybe you can power the fixture off of USB-C.
You can.
Nate has confirmed that you can power the fixture off USB-C. That's an interesting option, I guess. So maybe if you want to get like a consumer grade sort of block battery or something that
support any lightweight power banks.
There you go. So you heard it from the horse's mouth right here today. You can power it off of like a, something you'd probably get at Walmart or Best Buy or something like that. Keiko's got this little block battery. He actually uses this for powering his audio bag. We stole it from him. But it has this little USB-C port on there as well. So theoretically, it's unplugged from the wall. We should be able to turn it on. Boom. And that's running at 100%. I don't think the battery likes it. It's probably a little higher power draw than is ideal for something like this. That's a nice backup option, you know, if you need to run it on a battery in a pinch and you can't find this little cable or whatever. It's not a bad option to have. In a pinch, obviously this is not as robust a connection as that DC barrel, but it's working. So let's just power this thing up and start messing around with some of these accessories here. It's got this kind of, what do they call this, like an IEC or molded power cable, but it's locking, which is a nice approach. Kino does that too. I think that's a nice way to approach that if you're going to use that kind of power cable. And then let's just slap this omnidirectional diffuser on there for fun. So there you go. So this is a fun little accessory to have for this. I think it's great for maybe like adding a little eye light to someone because it's a very natural sort of shape you could have close to talent and it'll look nice as a reflection in their eyes. Or if you just need to kind of throw light every direction. Not something I would use all the time, but it's a nice little thing to have in the kit as an option. There's the barrel reflector. Again, you don't have to twist these on here. You just pop it in and then lock it like that. Be a little bit more controlled, but not enough control for my liking. I want to have a Fresnel. I love to have the control of a Fresnel, not only from the standpoint of being able to focus and flood it, but the ability to put barn doors in it and control where it is and isn't hitting in the set. And it also just gives you a much more pleasing character of light than a faceted reflector with the kind of funky shadows and stuff like that. So pop that on there. Then the barn doors just kind of clip in just like that. So once you get it rigged up into this configuration where I feel it's most useful in most situations I would use it for, it does become a bigger fixture. It's not outrageous, but it's not the tiny light that it kind of looks like out of the box. So keep that in mind if that's something you're looking for. So we'll fire that up. Got your kind of typical focus range here, goes from 45 to 15 degrees. And then something I like about I just have this at like 3% for reference. Something I like about the barn doors is they're actually really well designed. They have the extra fins here so you can really control the spill of the light or close it in. But then also on the inside of this is a nice touch. This is like almost like a felt kind of material that you think of like a black surface like this just cutting light, but it's actually, being metallic, it is actually somewhat reflective. So having that soft surface on the inside really eliminates a lot of your kind of unwanted reflections, and that's a nice feature they've thrown in there as well. Something I forgot to mention earlier that is a big deal is this is also IP65 rated, which means you can leave it out in the rain, you can use it in dusty environments, and it's going to be just fine. It's sealed around every port, and I wouldn't submerge it in a bathtub, but you can leave it out in a storm, and it's going to be just fine. Now it's not out yet, but they are developing a projector specifically for this light because it's got the smaller Bowens mount on it, and from what I hear, it's meant to have a rotating barrel. Hopefully that's true. Speaking that into existence right now, that would be a really big deal, a game changer for a fixture like this. So let's jump into the menu here a bit. It's a redesigned interface. Essentially, this is kind of how you navigate, is with this wheel, and then you would click on any of these parameters that you want to adjust: color, temperature, green, magenta shift. and intensity in CCT mode. It's got this kind of shortcut button here that you can go to the different lighting modes. And again, you're going to toggle between those with the dial, CCT, all these color options. Maybe we'll put it in HSI for a second here. So, and maybe are we seeing that cast of light on the couch right there? Crank this up just so you can get a reference for the power it has. I'll even open that up too. I'll just take that off. I do kind of like how easy these barn doors come on and off. It's a nice design. Yeah, so this, interestingly, you can set base CCT is you're working with. So let's say that everything else in your scene is 5,000 Kelvin. You can set that to 5,000 Kelvin, and then the colors are going to be more consistent if you were to, for instance, move this light into another scene, want that same color, but then you're lighting with tungsten as your primary source, for instance. So back to light mode here. I'll just go back to CCT for a second. You have this preset menu. You can save all these presets if you want. Something I really liked on some of the other Aputure fixtures was the ability to bump the dial here and go in increments of 20%. This, just because of how they had to change the operating system, that doesn't work anymore. So that's a bit of a bummer. On the back here, since we're looking at it, it does have a physical 3-pin kind of LEMO style connector that would break out to 5-pin physical DMX, which is a good option to have, especially if you're in an install scenario where you just want the reliability of a hardwired cable. You can do that. One of the things that Aputure is touting with this new Storm series is what they're calling the BLAIR-CG tech. BLAIR-CG is an acronym for the colors of chips that they have in the chipset on this light, which are blue, lime, amber, indigo, red, cyan, and green. Those are all different chips that they have in here, creating both the colors and the white light. But I think that the interesting addition is the indigo that is helping to, from my understanding, better replicate some of the kind of non-tangibles that you get from sunlight or a tungsten source that helps this white light read more natural. Because with LED technology, you're working with an artificial spectrum of light that you're trying to trick our brains into thinking is a natural source of light. As tech advances, we get closer to that target. So in practical use, have I noticed that yet? I haven't used it enough to tell, but I think just having the confidence that we're getting closer to that kind of natural white is a great thing. So let's talk about how this is going to work into our world as filmmakers, or how it's going to work into my world as a gaffer. Being like in this form factor as a small Fresnel, I ran some tests with it, and it kind of falls in between, like if you're familiar with the old RE Tungsten series, which was the first set of lights I got, actually. This was one of those fixtures. There's a 300 water. Intensity-wise, it kind of fell between the 300 and 650, a little closer to the 300 from intensity-wise. We're always excited about that super high-powered fixture, you know, like the pushing the boundaries, the 1200, the 2400, you know, people talking about coming out with 5,000 watt LEDs, which is exciting territory. But you also got to have fixtures like this, and you got to have probably more fixtures like this, because lighting is in the finesse of the details, and this is the type of tool that's going to get you that. Obviously, this is a much more versatile fixture than this, because this is just one color, and it's hot, and the wattage that it draws and such. But form factor wise, I just want to talk a little bit about. You're a little bigger than that fixture actually, and then you got a little extra gack going on. Something that I kind of miss from working with small Fresnels like that is just the ability to grab it off the cart, it's ready to go, plug in, focus in, shape it, and it's just a fast light to work with. Obviously this speeds up other parts of the process as far as like being able to correct for color and dim without worrying about the color temperature shift. And there's all these things we know about tungsten versus LED that make this a better option in most scenarios. But from a form factor standpoint, a question I had is like, is this really the best direction we're going? Like if this is something that you like, this form factor of the point source light with a Bowens-esque mount, you can kind of put different modifiers on it. I think it's like they've nailed that form factor in this fixture. It's a very, very well built. I have zero complaints if that's a form factor that you like. But it does kind of make me step back and think like, why it's still a little bit clunkier than this, just with the external ballast and extra cables to plug in and build. And once you put the the Fresnel and the Barndoors on it, it just becomes a little more unwieldy. And I would love to see some manufacturers pushing more in the direction of something like this. So this is another light I have in my kit that serves a similar purpose as this fixture in my mind. It's a dado LED. This one's just bicolor, but they do make a 90 watt version that's the same size as this fixture, full color. But the difference in kind of engineering approach to this versus this is you got that exposed cob idea with the Bowens-esque mount, and you're meant to put modifiers on it to make it usable. This is something I could grab off the cart or out of the case. It has a built-in lens system, actually a very cleverly designed lens system. Incredible spot to flood ratio, far more than the typical Fresnel on something like this would have. And the overall form factor, as you can see, is much more compact and riggable and ready to go. Now it does have an external ballast, similar to something like this that you have to hang somewhere. But overall, I would love to see something in Aputure's line push more into this sort of form factor. And something you may say to counter that is like, well, I love the ability to put a softbox or a projector mount on it. Well, you can actually do that with this too. Dado's been doing that for a long time. They've optimized their projectors to go on the front here, and then it gives you the same level of control as a projector on a cob light like this. And then softboxes, I'm like, I feel like we're almost at the point where it doesn't make a lot of sense to even use a fixture like this with a softbox. Like, why not just use unless you just can't invest in more types of fixtures, and there's legitimate reasons for that. Or maybe you're wanting to go on a travel project and just have a super versatile light that takes up a little amount of space. But in my world, as like an owner-op gaffer, usually running with a truck, I would prefer to just have a light in a better form factor, like a panel or something that would that serve that softbox purpose. I would love to see an Aputure version of something in this sort of form factor where you have, by default, is ready to go with the built-in focusable lens and control, because that is the primary time I'm using a fixture in this small form factor. I just want it to be a nice cast of light, and I want it to be easily controlled. And I feel like something along these lines is going to work better, more quickly for us. So is this light going to find a spot in my truck? I would say for sure. I love that it's built like a pro fixture. I mean, you could tell that they're really putting intentional thought into making these things robust. The connections, the weather sealing, the color. It's working toward that better, more natural white. All the connectivity that we have, wireless DMX built in. It's got the Citus app if you like using apps like that as well. Yeah, I think it's going to be something that I'm going to use pretty regularly, and it's going to be worth the space it takes up on the truck. Full disclosure, Aputure did send us this light. We do get to keep it, but as we've done, we were able to say whatever we wanted about it. Thank you, Aputure, for sending us the light to test out. Appreciate the engagement that we've been getting on these videos. If you have any questions about this light or other things, it does kind of help us establish some direction on the channel, what we talk about next. Again, I'm a working gaffer here in the Midwest. When we're looking at lights on this channel, we're just thinking about how we can use them in practical scenarios and how it's going to make our jobs easier. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.